All right. Philip here from Toon Tactics TV, giving you guys a pre-match preview for Newcastle's game this weekend against Fulham at Craven Cottage. This is obviously for the FA Cup fourth round. There's a lot of things surrounded this game. Obviously, in the build-up with Newcastle's transfer activity or lack of transfer activity, but then a lot of transfer activity, a lot of gossip, a lot of rumor, and everything that's going into it. Fulham themselves, obviously, played Liverpool probably just a couple of days ago now, and were knocked out of the semi-finals at the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup after drawing 1-1 and played a good put up a good kind of performance, a decent performance against Liverpool, but obviously were not able to get through. So there's a lot of context around this game for both teams, and I'm sure Fulham are in no mood to get knocked out of two cup competitions within the space of a week. So going into this game, I'm gonna share you guys with you guys my screen. I'm looking at a couple. I'm gonna look at the forms for both teams, and see where they're at. And neither team, as you guys can probably guess, are in terms of form have been impressive at this stage, and so there's a lot going in. There's a lot that's riding on it for Newcastle in particular. I was saying that this January is the recovery period. I'm expecting to see a recovery arc for Newcastle, and this is my lineup between both the teams, and I'm expecting, like I said, I'm expecting to see a recovery period for Newcastle United after the intensity of being in the Champions League, being in various cup competitions, and obviously the disappointments, the emotional and physical disappointments and demands and injuries that piled on for us, which contributed to a run where we lost quite a few games. I also felt that though um, with the teams that we had to play in January, aka Man City, that it will be difficult. That the results, for instance, may not always match the performance, and that you had to really kind of look at those games and see what would be the kind of the green shoots of recovery in those games. And we saw that in the Man City game. I won't go on about it too much. We scored two fantastic goals. Yes, Man City dominated large parts of that game, and De Bruyne came and did put a special on, De Bruyne special. But we played very well, and even without the ball, and we showed resolve after going a goal down and coming back at them, and we just simply ran out of legs. Obviously, against Sunderland in the FA Cup third round, we dominated the game from start to finish, and that was a derby. A lot of emotions, a lot of um, the bragging rights were important for Newcastle to get, and there was a danger that we could be this could be a banana skin game for us, but we controlled the game and did really well. Now we've had 2 weeks off, or just less than 2 weeks off, a lot of rest, a lot of periods of players being able to being able to recover. You've seen players go on holidays and share their photos on Instagram, which was for me positive to see. And then obviously now back to the grind, back to training, and we've had some positive news in regards to injuries. I spoke in my earlier video around decoding the transfer window. Please do check that out. It's on YouTube. That we're expecting within the next 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 2 to 3 weeks of the return of Wilson, Murphy, Willock, and Barnes. Murphy was already back in training, and hence why you guys can see him on the bench for me for the team there. By the way, I couldn't. The team lineup wouldn't allow me to put more players on, so I know if you guys spot that the bench is missing a couple players because I couldn't put any more players on it. But Murphy's back in training, hence on the bench. Wilson was also scheduled to be back for the Villa game, and I've put him on the bench as well. And Willock is scheduled for 2 to 3 weeks, but there's again these rumors it's hard to keep up. Some say that he's going to be back for this game or Villa, but really there's a possibility that he'll be back probably for the Villa game. I just about held back from putting him on the bench. Barnes, however, as of 20th of January, when we got the news, was 1 to 2 weeks away, and which was very positive. But then when I looked up on FOTMob, it was actually Willock that they thought was due in a couple of days, and Barnes still had a few weeks away. So at the last minute, I put Willock instead of Barnes on the bench, with Murphy, Callum Wilson, Livramento, and Lewis Hall. But it would be probably also Kraft and Dummett and Lascelles to make up the bench, and Gillespie also or Carriers to make up the bench as well for Newcastle United. And so, look, with in terms of form, both teams going into this game aren't in the best of form. Fulham in particular, after they lost to us 3-0 at St James's Park, they went on an awful run of form where they drew 1-1 to Everton in the Premier League. They lost to Burnley 2-0. They lost to Bournemouth 3-0. They then did beat Arsenal 2-1 and beat Rotherham 1-0 in the FA Cup. And then lost to Liverpool 2-1, lost to Chelsea 1-0. So it was, I say bad run of form, indifferent almost. And obviously they drew against Liverpool 1-1. So as for us, it's well documented since we played played Fulham. We drew with Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, but then lost on penalties. We lost to Luton, lost to Forest. These are the especially the kind of the black marks I've put against Eddie Howe, in my opinion, and who you guys know I really, really value as a manager. But those results really disappointed me. We lost 4-2 to Liverpool, and again, this is going into the first game in January, where I believe that we were going to start seeing recovery. And we still scored 2 goals against Liverpool. I know that they dominated us, and that's our first period of kind of 6 days off. I'm not going to go into it too much, but then obviously we followed that up with a 3-0 win against Sunderland, a 3-2 loss to Man City, as we talked about, and obviously now we've got this game against Fulham just before we play Villa, both of them away games. And so both Fulham and Newcastle don't come into this game in the best of run of form. Let's go to but there's some, before I talk a little bit about the tactics, Newcastle again continue to have, in my view, underlying metrics that show that they are better than what position they are currently in the league. We have an overall rating where FOTMob puts us in terms of performance as a 7th in the league. Obviously, we know we're 10th in terms of the league itself. We are 6th in terms of goals per match. We remain 3rd in terms of clean sheets in the Premier League, amazingly. Only one clean sheet away from both Liverpool and Arsenal, who are both 1st. Expected goals, we're 3rd. Big chances created, we're 3rd. So we're again shots on target per match, we're 6th. So we're very creative up front, very dangerous up front, and Fulham concede quite a bit at the back as well. They are a counter-attacking team. We saw that in the St James's Park. Obviously, that is St James's Park, though. They might be a little bit different at home. Fun enough, interesting stats is that Fulham are one of the teams who have conceded. I think they're top 4 in terms of conceding penalties, whereas Newcastle are top 4 for being rewarded penalties. So if you was a betting person, I would look at the possibility of Newcastle possibly getting awarded a penalty in this game. So look, this, like I mentioned before, really, really good underlying stats for Newcastle, and I keep on saying, um, I keep on saying that I'm believing, that this January we're going to see Newcastle's downward arc begin to level and go up again. I was ready for the fact that our results may not always reflect our performances because of the level of teams we were to play. So Liverpool and Man City. However, now this is the game. This is the proof in the pudding. The proof in my hypothesis. Will Newcastle, who I expect to perform well and get a result in this game, and especially before we go away to Villa? And it's important not only to perform well, to get the result and to continue our FA Cup journey. I think it's so important that the players have something to play for, have a trophy to play for, especially last year going so far in the Carabao Cup in the semi-final, that it was important for them to have something going forward into this game. And that's the motivation there. So as you guys can see the starting lineup, again, I mentioned the transfers and the transfer rumors, and look, Wilson's there. Again, a lot of rumors about him, about whether he will stay, he will go. You're thinking about the players' heads, where they're at. Trippier, Almiron, Lascelles, Dubravka even came up as well. So look, a lot of rumors, a lot of journalists and media saying, that these players are up for sales. Obviously, Darren Ills, our CEO, came out in a uh, uh, simple but effective way, essentially telling clubs that, look, we've got players that are out for sale, and that's who they were. The media misconstrued that when he said big names, they were thinking our crown jewels, aka or i.e. Isak, Bruno, and Botman. I'll add Gordon to that, but that was never the case. It was players like Wilson, it was players like Almiron that Darren Ills was referring to. And so, again, and rumors of players coming in. So I think the question is, part of the question is, where psychologically, emotionally, where are these players at? Almiron apparently is very much wanting to stay. Wilson is here. Trippier is here. So look, we're going to see it. We're going to see the proof. I'm expecting a big performance from Newcastle. I'm expecting a result from Newcastle. I'm expecting us to go through. However, we're playing away at Fulham. I said they're a counter-attacking team. They put up a good performance against Liverpool. Paulina, Kearney especially and Willan, but Paulina and Kearney got really good ratings from FOTMob on that. I don't expect Jimenez to get sent off again, for instance. And again, Willan continues to be one of their main goal threats with goals and assists. And so Newcastle have to do. It will be have to keep him quiet, as well as playing their own game. I think the battle of the midfield is going to be interesting because obviously Paulina is highly rated. Tim Kearney is also, I can't remember if it's Tim or Tom Kearney, are good midfielders, good within their own right. And Sean Longstaff hasn't been performing all too well. Miley has, but he's still young, still 17 years old, and we know what Bruno Gomes can do. Bruno Gomes in our last game against Fulham literally took the game by the scruff of the neck, and we took it to Fulham. And we won that game. I expect Newcastle to take control over this game, to have the better possession, to create the better chances, to stop their attacks. Trippier with the crosses and Bruno dictating the play. Isak, one shot, one kill. Isak to continue to be a threat, and Gordon as well to continue to be a threat. It's going to be a different puzzle for them to solve, unlike Man City and Liverpool, who we essentially they had a space in behind. Fulham are going to be relatively defensive. though they are at home, and so we have to take advantage of when they do attack us. It'll be interesting to see how Eddie Howe approaches this game. Would he get the team to play to kind of be to play possum and give the ball to Fulham and invite them on, which I don't think really is his game. His game is really to play our game and to take control over the games and stuff like that. It would be good for us to. When I say this, it's not overconfidence. This would be the ideal world if we were to go 2-3 nil up. 70 minutes to go, and bring on Wilson or bring on Murphy, or possibly Willock if they're playing, and to just get some minutes into the legs before the Villa game. But I'm not overlooking this game. This game is going to be a difficult game. Like I said, Fulham are going to want to come back at us. Willian's a constant threat, constant danger. I back Trippier against him. The main thing for me is, again, where the players' heads at. Trippier, Wilson, Almiron, focusing on the game. The midfield battle, Bruno, Miley, Longstaff taking the control over the game, and essentially making sure that our one thing that we can control is our performance, and to make sure our performance is top notch and to get the result as well. So I back Newcastle. I want them to get a clean sheet, and I'm backing Newcastle to win the game 2-0 and to go through into the next round. But I'm so interested to see what you guys think. What's your score predictions? Who do you think will be the top performer, man of the match? Do you guys think that the transfer rumors, whether they're going to stay or go, whether the players are going to be able to keep their minds and focus on the game? Let me know what your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Your comments, your views are they're so important. I'm really keen to hear you guys' perspectives and on how you guys view the game. So, guys, like I said, I predict the game to finish 2-0. Let me know what you guys think. I look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, take care and God bless, folks.